Well, good afternoon, everybody. Let's get started. I'm David Lough, President of Downtown Sarasota Condominium Association, and welcome to everybody on like our 5th or 6th day in a row of what seems to be perfect weather. So as far we're gonna today we're not going to have a guest speaker. We have a town hall down at City Hall on attainable housing at 5:30. So we've cut out our guest speaker for this month. In declaring a quorum, I think we have all of us here except Kathy Sellers, so let's declare a quorum established. Judy, as far as the minutes, we have the minutes were circulated. Were there any comments to that? And thanks again, Judy, for doing a phenomenal job in those with Patrick's edits and stuff. I think we have the most complete, the best minutes in town. Yes, just call it that. So thank you. We have a motion to adopt those minutes, please.
Motion to approve. Go ahead.
Okay. So said Bob. Bob so moved, and Ken.
Patrick, whoever.
Okay, Patrick, second. So all in favor? Aye. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Clark, what about the bank? What do we got?
The bank has a balance of $11,032.09.
Okay, we had some decent inflows in December,
Yes.
winding down in
Yeah, we were
January.
at 60,000 last
On
one.
our membership renewals. So good.
Moving into event season.
Yes.
And then we have a significant renewal on our website, 2-year renewal for Lough. So we know we have some large expenses.
We haven't gotten the bill for that yet.
No, it's on the website, but it's there. It's reduced in June. I think we paid
Yeah.
something like that. So within the next quarter, we'll be expending some of that. So I think the year will be.
And let me digress for a second. I'm remiss in not having recognized Vice Mayor Alford, who's here. Thank you for coming, Liz. We appreciate it. And then we also have Donna Risto. Donna is a to-be resident at Baso Condominiums, and invited her as a guest, and certainly look forward to anticipating, hopefully, Baso joining DSCA when you folks move in. So it looks like 6 months or so away.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, well, welcome. Thank you. Back to the agenda here, no speaker. Under new business, we have the CCNA proposed bylaw revisions. Those are to be discussed at Saturday's meeting. As we know, I'm the representative to CCNA. And I've asked for Peter's help and Patrick's help in looking at bylaws. I must admit that that's not in my great skill set, and I think Peter has some observations. We did, in your advance pack, you did see the revised bylaws that they're proposing.
Thank you, Dave. I spent some time looking at the bylaws and comparing them to the bylaws they had. The CCNA board put out a nice set of where the changes are. And I want to just up front to say that we have to tell David, who will be our representative at the CCNA meeting, what we want to do with those, either to vote to accept, vote to not accept, or abstain. And they made it's interesting, they made a provision in these proposed bylaws that an abstention is not a no vote. So should be abstain. But I'm going to comment a little bit about CCNA. When you read their purpose statement, it's one that we can support wholeheartedly and have supported since I got involved in 2008. And we had some bumpy rides along the road trying to keep our organizations consistent and cooperating and meshing together. I think the bylaws that they've done are extremely well done, except with one section, and that's Article 3, membership. and Article 3 membership does specifically speak to the role of the Downtown Sarasota Condominium Association as being a member. As you may know, we are a city recognized neighborhood. We're a little unique in that we have 35 or 38 members, and I don't know how many we have this week, but they're coming and going as the dues get paid. And it's a little unclear in that section on membership, just exactly how we fall within the definitions with regard to neighborhoods and neighborhoods approved. Generally, a neighborhood is approved if they submit articles of incorporation and bylaws and so forth, and have the procedures and meetings, and it goes through the what used to be neighborhood services. I think it's still neighborhood services in one way or another, and we get approved, and that's how we have submitted our membership each year. And you fill out a little survey saying what you do and so forth, which works really fine. But they've added a provision that I don't remember being there, and that is that if you want to be a neighborhood and you don't want to go through all that process, that you would simply put in an application, not simply, you would put an application in to CCNA, and then they could discuss it and approve you as a neighborhood as well. So I'm a little concerned about approving such latitude. I think it should go through the city. We have a consistent and good process in place. The second one is, even though we mentioned, DSCA is mentioned specifically in the bylaws as a member, it's hard to figure out on what part of the continuum we are a member. Is it that all 38 of the condominiums constitute a neighborhood? Each one constitutes a neighborhood? Or does all of them together?
I can contribute that.
Okay.
Broadway Promenade is considered a neighborhood,
Right.
and we are members of CCNA.
Right, and I think you are the only condominium in our organization who is a neighborhood.
Yes.
And I think you became a neighborhood by virtue of the complex that you're living.
Well, 186 residents, which is bigger than some of the communities. It's just the houses are stacked together, or they're stacked apart, or so.
So we would want clarification that neighborhood can also exist in DSCA's neighborhood.
I've never asked to find clarification, but when we first looked into the map, and then John Moran kind of drew the perimeter, on the city's website where it shows neighborhoods, you'll see a whole bunch of tiny little blue squares. That says to me that the city defines each condo as a neighborhood. That has an association, has a board, etc. You know, I live in a neighborhood with 300, 600 people. You know, that's bigger than most of the CCNA voting members. Yes. So that's where they refer to it's a recognized neighborhood by the city. So you're saying each condo is a recognized neighborhood by the city. However, DSCA will be the representatives for the downtown condominium representation.
Yeah, if you look.
So it'll be under one membership of the DSCA. That's this right here. Yes. So, but that didn't prevent Broadway from being a member of both. So you are able to receive benefits from both.
Well, we participated in, have representatives from Broadway who've been on the board, including me.
No.
So-
I'm not. I'm just trying to explain so people understand
Yes.
how it goes. So that's, I think, part of the issue of they're trying to come up with language to define something that is hard to define when you apply it here and when you don't apply it there, is when they say downtown condominium representation. Which border do you pick, you know?
The way I understand it,
Yes.
the unit of membership in downtown Sarasota Condo Association is the building. The unit of membership in most neighborhood associations is the household. You follow?
No, the voting membership is from the associations. The association goes on to say it's the representation that is appointed by the board. We appoint.
Yeah, but I can see why why DSCA is a kind of special case because of the unit of membership, which means that you could get a tiered situation,
Exactly.
which somebody cynical could say, oh, you're double dipping or triple dipping or that kind of thing, when it comes to capacity to apply for a grant, for example.
So such language in the bylaws that aren't entirely clear don't present any problem as long as we're all friends.
Yeah,
It
so
only
it's
presents a
everybody's-
problem when there's a controversy.
Everybody's
So what I'm
motivations
going
are,
to-
you
what I'm going to
know, civic, et
recommend-
cetera.
Well, Promenade may have issues. Johnny's Car Wash on 17th Street, which is out of the purview of DSCA. So, I mean, we can multitask. If we have interest in other things, Central Coconut, Neighborhood Association, that sort of thing.
So I'd like to move, given that discussion and some of the ambiguities around it, I'd like to move that we direct our representative to CCNA to take no position in either a negative or a positive vote and abstain during that vote, and ask if we could not meet with several people who put the bylaws together to have clarification, even if it's just a policy statement rather than a bylaw.
Second.
All right.
Who seconded that, I'm sorry?
Ken,
Thank you.
discussion.
Enthusiastically.
Disclosure, I had a conversation with Kathy Ulrich, who's on the executive, who's leading the redrafting of this. And first of all, understanding that they went from one type of association to a corporate board. It went from an executive committee to a board of directors, in which case a lot of the language has changed just from that. And the undertaking of redoing that, enormous. Plus, there was probably a page of text describing downtown that they removed, which was good. And I looked through it initially to say, was there anything that was in there? Because there were some other amendments floating around that we thought would be negative to us, and I did not find anything. But I can understand clearly from your point that the language works well as we maintain representation, but because of that, right, maybe it's not something that we wholeheartedly endorse, although from a vote standpoint, but I think commenting positively to the executive committee and to the group that did the work.
So I would like to further then, second, with the second's permission, amend the motion to also say, and we would want our representative to be very clear in expressing our positive attitude to CCNA, and that we do fully agree with the purpose statement, which is, if you look at the purpose statement, number one, if you can, Patrick. The purpose to protect and enhance city neighborhoods. The coalition shall address the needs of neighborhoods and stand in support of these needs. Basically, that's what we do as well, and we want to come off of hearing at least, and in reality, being able to say, yeah, we do the same thing, and we will support you in your efforts, and we expect you will support us like any other neighborhood and in your efforts to achieve that purpose.
Okay.
Okay, all right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving along to old business, our member association survey. And Patrick, would you give us just a little, refresh our memories on the history of that when we first did it, and what our general thinking is to redo that in this second year?
Yeah, we rolled out our first survey in 2021. We were trying to do it in an annual basis, but felt that we weren't able to have that significant updates in 2022. But given much of the changes we're seeing right now, especially financial impacts, insurance impacts, we are seeing a higher request for information about what other condos are doing, how are they coping with it. It's been a major topic of a lot of our outreach events. So so I think it's timely to do a survey. I think it would be helpful to get some input on some of those specific issues around that would be affected, the financial, the insurance. I think we had some good questions from before. I do recall that some number of condos filled out everything else, but didn't answer some of the financial related questions. And so maybe there's a way we can get to some percentage or so something from that. We can reach out to some of those condos to see if there is something there, or maybe even some of our, the condo association platinum members who deal with multiple condos and multiple boards could suggest some ideas and help us in some of those, the survey questions. So what I'm requesting here is that, yes, we get board authorization to move forward this year, and we get volunteers both from the board and from members to participate in helping us revise, making some updates. I don't think it needs to be extensive, but I think reviewing all of the questions, seeing what else we need to do, and then bring that back to the board within a reasonable period of time, and get approval then on a final survey that we then roll out within a few months.
And we did a separate EV survey. Are we integrating the EV part of things into the member survey?
There certainly would be probably some elements, I think, to maybe expand on, but you get into how much do you want to go into in-depth in the general survey if only a small percentage you're doing there. But yes, we should look at that survey and any other related to the surveys we've done. Yeah.
Issues or whatever.
You know, since we did that survey, the EV statutes have changed a little. So, you know, there was a time where, if the association didn't have an EV charging station, they didn't want to have one. You couldn't put one in, but now, you know, by statute, if somebody wants to put in an EV charging station, they can. Yeah, and we modified our approach here of how we deal with that.
Yeah, plus some have found that a different model works effective, but oftentimes it depends on the location, your physical layout of parking spaces, et cetera, and how that's allocated and where your electrical distribution is. So it's all very site specific, size, number of units.
And Bob, thank you. I know you were instrumental last time in stepping up to the plate again
I think it's
this
important.
time. And then timing wise, what kind of further discussion and rollout are we kind of thinking about? Bring it back next month or?
Well, as soon as we can, but I need to have some volunteers, and so far it's 2 of us.
Yeah,
And that's gonna take much longer. If we have some other help, we can get that sooner.
If his comments were a motion, I'll second it.
Which one?
What you just said.
No,
You
I'm not
said
making
you recommended that we have another survey.
Yes,
We do
I'm not making
survey.
a motion. We have another survey, given that we have volunteers to work on it, and so.
I've experienced running.
All right, great. Okay. And I would encourage any of our other, even associate members or other member representatives, call, send us an email if you have, looked at last year, the survey from 2 years ago and would like to have some inputs, or we can recruit some people too. All right. Then the motion is that the board approves having a ad hoc group prepare a updated survey, bring it back for approval within a few months.
Second.
Who made the motion? Who seconded? Patrick.
Patrick and Ken.
Okay.
Big mouth.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right. Moving along to city updates, Kathy is not here. My remarks I'll make within some of the items that come up a little later. So let's move on to Arts and Cultural Committee. Ken, I think you have some interesting information.
Yes, on Monday, the Architectural Selection Committee for the new Performing Arts Center met and took their list of 18 possible architectural firms and reviewed it and winnowed it down to 6 semi-finalists. And it was fascinating with the list that they came up with. These are absolutely the best in the world. Foster and Partners, Gary Partners, Gary has designed the new Disney Performing Arts Center in Orlando with 4 theaters, cost $600 million. It's spectacular. Henning Larsen, which hasn't built anything in the US yet, but is very famous in Europe. Renzo Piano, Diller, Sofidia, and Renfro, not well known by the public, and a 6th one's Snowhita, which is a Scandinavian firm. This group on this committee are fascinating to watch because of the way that they discuss each of these candidates and how thorough they are and how much personal information these people have about these architects and their works. Many of them have already seen, they travel the world a lot, most of them, and they've seen buildings designed by these people. They've been in them and they can speak about them. I think we got our money's worth with this committee. So their next step is to have these people present concepts to them, and then they'll winnow it down to perhaps 2 or 3 or maybe even 1.
What's the time period for the?
Well, that I don't know.
We had a presentation here by the Bay Park and Amber Clamerson. Same thing, she felt performing arts hall would be 7 to 10 years out, which sort of seems reasonable considering the time frame we had for the Bay Park, which started 7 years ago at least. We just opened, phase 1. So.
But as far as the architect selection, I think they were in a fairly fast track.
Yeah.
At the end of April, beginning of May, right? So this thing is a
Yeah. They went from 18 to 6 fairly quickly, and hopefully they'll winnow it down even faster. But these people are all going to present concepts, so that's going to take some time. So it makes me feel so good about this city when I see a group like that function so well.
I'd like to ask, do you have any idea about when at some point we, the public, might be able to see some of these concepts? With 6 of them, I don't know that they'll probably publicize.
The next meeting that they have where
Yeah.
they're going to be discussing the concepts, you'll see them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. But you can speak to it now. In fact, I spoke, there was public comment, citizens input at the beginning of the meeting. I didn't represent the DSCA, but I spoke on behalf of myself in support of the project. It's just amazing.
Great. Anything else on arts and
That's
culture?
it.
Okay. Moving on, Jamie, on events and associates.
Yes, as you guys know, we're having the Exploding Costs of Living in Paradise on March 16th. To date, we have 86 people registered with an allowance of 120. If you haven't got in, please do soon.
That for some of you is our workshop series for educational purposes that we provide on topics or
Yeah.
interests that we can use. So is
Have
that
a
else
discussion
about it?
flyer.
That was a nice announcement.
So we're doing some weekly marketing, seems to really bring in a lot of people. So we send a flyer out, and then we also have some catchy quotes that we send out via email and promote it that way. So it seems to be working very well. So, and then on April 4th, during our annual members meeting, we're going to have a town hall, and that's going to be about downtown residents' concerns. And that's the one that we're working on, the city grant, but hopefully we'll go through the board meeting, the city commission meeting on March 8th, right? That one on the agenda, soon.
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 So,
Okay.
and that will also be at the same address, and we're hoping to cover topics such as homelessness, trying to think what else, zoning issues, and
Pedestrian safety,
pedestrian
walkability.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for further
Yes,
information.
we'll start marketing that one on the 7th of March. So that's all I have.
Okay. Patrick on green space,
No further update this month right now.
and Peter on homeless.
Okay, the committee met on February 16th to discuss various concerns that the residents have with regard to accommodating and interacting with the population without homes downtown. One of the things that suddenly came out of the committee was the understanding that we've developed some controversy as to whether people understand what's happening with the homeless or don't understand what's happening with the homeless. And it came to be that several of us thought, well, why would that be unusual? We've been educating people for 5 or 6 years, and that group of people seems to understand the ramifications of homelessness. But we have a whole set of new residents that we haven't targeted in any way, who don't have the advantage of living through and evolving through sets of ordinances and controversies and who can lie where or what is a sidewalk that the rest of us seem to have. And the new people are coming charging forth saying, I don't understand any of this. The city's not doing anything. How come they let us buy property down here with this terrible homeless problem going on? So we discussed how we're going to address that from those two perspectives, having an education effort towards new residents and a sustaining effort to keep the momentum going in those areas that we see our progress and there may still be some weaknesses. So at our next meeting, and thank you, Clark's arranging the place. It'll be either the 15th or the 22nd of March. Usually we go to the third Thursday, which is the 15th, but it's a little early. So either of those dates, and I'll get a notice out as soon as we know where that's going to be. We're inviting several different people to help us manage what I just talked about. People like Joe Polzak, the city attorney for the police department, who's been very instrumental in helping us understand the ordinances and the constraints that police officers have, and has done a great job educating some of us to understand that, hey, you just can't arrest your way out of this problem. It's just not possible. Also, Deidre Jones is the coordinator of homeless response office of the city manager. And she's I call her the new, but she's been here over a year now, so she's not new. She's the fill-in, takeover, and doing a great job for Captain Stiff, who was running that part of the show. Megan Howell from Second Heart Homes, Cameron Hodges, Director of Community Leadership, Gulf Coast Community Foundation, and others. So we're going to be bringing those people into the homeless committee meetings, educating us, letting us educate them as to what our needs are, and then bring them back to the board for approval. During this period of time, though, we had a major change come about that I didn't see coming this quickly. But Chris Johnson has resigned from the leadership chair, the president's chair, I guess, of the Suncoast Partnership to End Homelessness, and they've done a note out on it. Tara Booker is going to be the interim CEO, and she's been with Suncoast probably 6 or 7 years in various positions, the latest of which I believe is Chief Operating Officer. So she'll be stepping in as the interim CEO. And Pam Fields, who's an attorney and is the board chair of Suncoast Partnership, also will be backing her up and providing a smooth transition into new leadership. We'll keep you informed as to how that goes and if there's any impact on providing programs to people without homes. That's my opinion.
Good, thank you. Health and safety.
Yeah, question. First of all, is we get Peter involved in the dialogue we had just yesterday about the town hall and how to have not only a panelist, but one of the concepts is that we had a really great members meeting a year ago with Dr. Jenny Rowe, and she laid out a blueprint for a restorative city and all the underlying things about it. As we're seeing last month with City Manager Marna Brown, we went through a whole list of things, and it was well documented, I think, in our minutes. People read the minutes there, you'll see. as well as on the website there. So somehow in our member meeting this year, part of that is updating our residents on what has been accomplished, how are things improved from kind of the look a year ago with kind of the restorative city lens, kind of looking at some of those issues, not necessarily all the red, green, et cetera, but some of the underlying things of the fabric of the neighborhoods, et cetera. Secondly well, what else, what's ongoing? All these things are ongoing. And then what else needs to be done? But in that, how do we better help our individual neighborhoods, condominium associations, deal with their sets of issues? As you said, you get a new condo come on, is there a welcome kit that here's how to contact your congressman, and also it's just like what's the level of things? Oh, Click to Fix does these things, and these people do these things, and kind of guiding the condo board and condo property managers with how to navigate, how to survive in downtown Sarasota. Would be an idea. Anyway, it's a new one going on.
Do we track the population to figure out whether it's growing or reducing? And do we know that answer?
Yeah,
I'll share.
I mean, I just drove up Central, so.
Yeah, I will share. The vice mayor knows about my graphs, and so I will certainly share those with you guys.
Okay.
I have something to add. For Golden Gate Point Association, one of my jobs has to do with membership. And I regularly call the visitor center at the Chamber of Commerce. They will put together free a bag of materials, including various brochures and various pamphlets that explain all of those things. And I'll call up and I'll talk to the lady there. Could you please make up 5 bags for me? I go in the next day, I pick up 5 little shopping bags. Each one of them is a treasure trove. All the cultural groups, but all of that information, great material on who to call about what issue. And every
one. I'm saying more of a guidebook to
every
how
new person.
But I mean, I think in addition to that, that's a good package.
Yeah,
There's
it's free. They're
the
happy
guide
to
of,
do it.
hey, between us people who have been managing and board doing stuff, here's who you call to get certain things done.
I know, because as a citizen, you walk by, go into the opera, and you think, these 2 guys have been sitting on the same bench now for 2.5 weeks, and you cross the street because the smell is so bad. And so you do, as a citizen that doesn't know this, think to yourself, is this acceptable?
Who do you call that?
Oh, all right, moving on, health and safety, Kathy is in here. I know, Jamie, you had some comments about building fire safety and something that happened in your building. You wanted to surface to see what we might.
Yeah, we had a few residents, well, we had an incident, we've had fire drills before and people follow them or don't follow them, whatever. We had, it was 6:30 at night on a weekday, and usually a superintendent comes on and says, okay, this is a drill, something's going on, but didn't have anything like that. It was after hours, so a lot of us took it very seriously and actually had a chance to really practice thinking that there was an actual fire in our building. But the scary thing that came out of that is, first of all, I would estimate that maybe somewhere between 40 and 50% of our building was outside, and they were all in different places. So one group was one place, another group was another place. We do actually have a fire plan that's online for our residents, but we felt it was missing a lot of things. For example, who's going to do a head count? My concern is my husband was home. I have 2 dogs. One of them's senior, can't go down the stairs, so I dragged one of them, carried one of them down 11 floors. And in order to get our door open, there's the positive pressure in the stairwell, so I had to throw my whole body against it. I mean, I'm fairly youngish. And we have people who can't do stairs. And a couple of people sat out there and were saying, we'll just call her Jane Doe for her privacy. Where's Jane Doe? And everyone just kind of looked at the ground. So this was a real fire. What happens to Jane Doe? Because Jane Doe can't do the stairs. No one really seemed to have an answer for that. So I put together a list of questions, if you guys wouldn't mind, I'll pass them around, and if you guys wanted an email format, if you guys would be so kind as to answer them or help us out. We had a few residents that were really concerned, as I was, that people didn't have answers to those questions, that we were meeting in different places, and if we have people who, because of COVID fears, just choose not to leave the building, so what does that mean for a firefighter, and they're up on the very top floor. And we did, one of our residents did go to the fire department, and it was, according to her, it was kind of like, so, yeah, we have some.
A lot of communities, I know usually board talks, but a lot of communities, if you talk to the fire department, there is a special form you fill out if you're unable to do the stairs,
Okay,
if you're disabled, and they keep that. Your building should also have it, but, because there are lots of people all over the country who are in buildings who are disabled.
yeah,
So the fire department should have a form,
okay,
or the police department, if not the fire department.
I would have thought the county fire department would have a spokesperson, somebody that would, comes up, fire marshal,
Yeah.
they'll come out to your condo and do a presentation at a board meeting, and, and they can do a walk around ahead of time, sort of thing. And I know we had a safety one at ours, I don't know if it was a fire one, it was probably more emergency manager or something like that, or no, I'm sorry, that was the police that come out and would do kind of a security check of where people might be able to hide or not, and show them certain things or things like that, things they can do to improve their security. So hopefully the county would have somebody.
yeah, and according to this one resident, I didn't talk to the fire department, so I can't really speak to that, but she claims that they weren't much help. And same thing with pets, how do they get the pets out if you're not home? Just a lot of unanswered questions. We have a very, very thorough, well-executed hurricane plan. Very thorough. But fire, that was the first time that ever, I mean, in my mind, it was a real fire, so I grabbed my 2 dogs and that was it. I didn't think about anything else, they just got out. But some people don't have that option, so.
Up in New York State, current zoning codes require an area of shelter on every floor. There has to be a designated so many square foot place where people can go with wheelchairs or
Yeah.
cannot do elevators or stairs. And that's where the fire department goes first.
Okay.
So I don't know what Florida, but I mean, that's the way things work in some states. But you take old buildings, it would mean on every floor, you're gonna have to create some kind of an alcove area. I'm not sure that's possible,
Yeah.
you know. in
Yeah,
a lot of
even
older
pushing
buildings.
that door open, I'm thinking, even if you could do stairs, if you can't get that door open,
Yeah,
you're just stuck, you're not even in the stairwell.
I think most condo documents, the declarations of condominiums, if you're not capable of living in the building and getting yourself out of the building, you should probably think about moving on,
That might be the answer.
Indemnifies the
Yeah.
association.
Yeah,
And on sort of a related note, this past weekend, we had a theft crew come through the building. And so we're having a town hall here tomorrow morning because, somebody let a couple people through the pool gate. It's like they're opening the door, you've seen it in every movie where somebody hangs out outside of an apartment building. And they just came in and they came into the building and they just went around, started trying doors.
wow.
And, it's amazing the people that leave their units unlocked when they're not in there, And so in any event, it's, it's a health, we all have a responsibility for health, safety and welfare. And, and it's something I think, we're going to be approaching a lot more aggressively now because, the cow's already been stolen, and, we're going to see what can we do to make the building safer. And protocols that, mostly it's residents that should be aware of because, we're asking residents, if you see somebody in the elevator you don't recognize, excuse me, you're a resident here, I don't, that sort of thing. So.
Okay, and I did want to recognize Fred and Don. You had both expressed interest in becoming involved in the health and safety group. So Peter, I think we would certainly welcome that involvement and add you to our group. So I'm sure you make a good contribution. So thank you for stepping up.
I have a question. I don't know if it applies to health and safety or maybe the upcoming transportation. We have 9 streetlights out on Golden Gate Point. They just don't work. I called, others have called. I was told by the person that I got through to at City Hall that there are street lights out all over the city because they can't get parts. Does anybody else know about that situation?
I know Coconut, we had some issues, and I was advised to contact FPL, and you go to the FPL website, and if you get the poll number.
Yeah, that's
it's
already
supplied.
been done. Okay. So we'll try that as an alternative. Going through city government didn't seem to accomplish anything.
And make sure you do it in writing.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, didn't hear
Make
that.
sure you do it in writing, that you have a record of it.
Okay,
Anything you put in writing, they respond to more quickly because there's liability.
All right, moving ahead.
One quick question, I would maybe ask on behalf of the board here is, if you're doing a research on these questions for your condo, that you make it available back to us. In fact, if you were to contacting the fire department on behalf of DSCA, that our downtown condos want to know, because we want to put together a package
Yeah, okay.
for them.
Yeah.
I think, maybe you'll get a better response that way.
Good point.
We're talking, X number of. Okay, thank you very much for the report.
Okay, Roger, transportation.
Well, let's see, roundabout update. The lights were on, the new street lights, and they're pretty impressive. They had those on, I think, for the first time last night for the entire roundabout, so.
They're really bright.
And bright, and you can see, so that seems to be an improvement. And the traffic flow is efficient, it's a 30 to 50% improvement, but if you're sitting on the top of the bridge waiting to get to the roundabout, it doesn't seem that way. Although I think everybody who used to go to Fort Myers has now come to Eagle Beach because the traffic seems significantly heavier than other seasons, and of course it's always busy season. They are getting some lane changes recently as they continue to complete. I'm not sure of the final date that they're focusing on, but it is working. And then other business, I think the only thing downtown, the city decided to extend the parklets, use of parking spaces. It turns out a lot of cities are doing that as a way of gaining additional sidewalk space. It's somewhat controversial. Merchants don't like it, restaurants love it. And the only comment I made was Saturday night. We went to the opera, and there were more people downtown than I've ever seen, and less parking than I've ever seen. I'm on the 5th floor of the parking garage to park.
Climbing the stairs.
Climbing the
No elevators.
No elevators.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. But I tell you, talk about a healthy turnout of people. That was just really amazing. The restaurants usually close by 9 or 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock. Still people.
Just when they close section of Main Street for the reggae.
Yes. Yeah.
Do we have like general parking things going up anywhere where people can park? Like you're talking about parking.
Well, the parking garages are almost never full.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we actually have ample parking downtown.
Okay.
And an interesting side note is there's been several lots that have been empty that have been monetized for parking, and you can now park there for twice as much as you can park on the street. And it's run by the same company that runs the street parking meters. And you can pay using your cell phone if you want to use the private property. And so it's significantly expanded parking.
Okay. Is that, anything else, Roger?
No.
Okay, let me just add as many of you know, in the transportation master plan for the city. Yeah. Boulevard of the Arts and 10th are in that plan. I think in your board packet, I circulated that the city earlier this week did get a grant request in, it's something like 120 pages. You got sent a 6-page summary. The city is requesting a $12 million federal grant that would probably fund roughly 80% of those streetscape efforts. I'm told we should hear in June or July if that is happening. Parallel with the grant request going in, the city is proceeding to take the drawings to a next stage. Along the way, they're going to get more community input, but this is a complete street effort, which would kind of reinvent both Boulevard and the others in town.
Yeah, just a quick comment. Have we considered contacting Bert Buchanan's office and give them copies of all these issues?
I know the city has a lobbyist who's been actively involved, and there was like 30 support letters from everybody, you know, schools, housing authority, whatever, that were part of this package, including MPO, you know, and so I'm decently optimistic. The city applied for this last year and didn't get it. And Donna, our normal protocol is for the board members.
Okay.
And maybe at the end, I'm sorry, in the interest of time. So that is going on, and hope it's off to Washington at this point. Cross your fingers. On zoning, many of us later will be going to City Hall for the town hall on attainable housing, zoning, bonus densities, et cetera, et cetera. I'm pleased to say that we have DSCA. We were able to get audiences, if that's the right word, with Steve Cover and his groups on 3 occasions over the last few months. So we've had an opportunity to provide some questions and input. I think this evening will be interesting because today, I think the city their goal is to come forward with some specifics of their thinking. So that remains to be seen. There's a group of us that are discussing this, and based on what happens this evening, we may have some more questions or some more input. So that starts at 5:30 at City Hall, so we'll either be watching it from here or going down there.
Yes, it's available for people to watch online on the city, on the city's website, for agenda.
Okay. And then another topic that's going to get a lot of press is the one park condo project at the southwest corner of Boulevard and the Arts and 41. That is coming before the planning board next Wednesday, the 8th. Specifically, the developer is asking for a development agreement amendment to build over Quay Commons. And let's just say this, there's a lot of moving parts on this one, including consistency with some commitments that were made in 2016. The overarching concern is this building, if allowed to move forward, would be bigger than the view, but 30% taller and 20% bigger in mass. So there's pretty big concern about just the scale of this building in the context across the street from the Garden Club and the entryway to the park. There's a lot going on. You'll read a lot in the paper, and obviously this is a controversial topic with pre-sales having taken place and so forth. So it is complicated but simple. The planning board next Wednesday at 10 o'clock, if you're interested in going, I'm going to be there. CCNA, I have no updates from that. The Bay Park, sorry about
Bay Park, we had a presentation here last week on the progress of the park. some of the history of the park. And I would encourage anyone in your condo associations, if you're interested, it's a good presentation. I think the residents of the building would really be interested in it. Amber Lamerson did it. AG was supposed to be here also with her. He couldn't make it. But at the end of the day, it's really worthwhile. And I shared with all of you the slide presentation that she presented here, which I think was really interesting. I think the view of the Bay Park from 1930 is really interesting. It's just
missing.
yes, exactly. So that's all I have.
Okay, CCNA, I have nothing. On the Rosemary, I talked a little about Boulevard of the Arts and 10th. The Rosemary Park, we're having a charrette meeting on March 16th, where hopefully near final renderings can be shown. It's gone into a little bit of a hiatus for 4 months now or so, but kind of resurrecting it to get some additional community input on tree selection, lighting, and seating. What's the Goldilocks amount of seating to have so as to encourage community engagement, but not encourage misuse, shall we say. So on the 16th, we'll have a flyer out on that. Kinley Horn will be there and Jerry Fogel from City Park. There is a pretty soft commitment from Jerry to try and have our park installed by the end of the year, and we'd really like to have that in place.
What time on
March 16th? 2 to 6. Kind of an open house format.
Overlaps with our workshop.
When's our event?
Yeah.
Okay, so go at 2 o'clock, folks.
Okay, yes.
We're at 4.
Okay. And then the other thing on the Rosemaries, I don't know if people realize, but there are gonna be at least 400 new restaurant seats along Boulevard of the Arts. The Overton is indeed going to be reincarnated. The rest, there's like essentially restaurant row between Central and Florida. And so that's going to be coming down the pike in the next 8 months or so. That is the one thing that is going to have parking implications that's beginning to be addressed. So with that, that's about a little bit of a Rosemary update. Jamie, can you help with the Platinum Associate? Anna, yeah. Who have you got with us tonight? There was some new news. We'd love to hear it.
New news. From us, so I'm with Berg Simpson, we do construction defect litigation. I do the marketing. I'm trying to think of the new news from our firm. I'll get back to you guys. I'll introduce the platinum sponsors. Let's go with Travis Brandt from First Service. Do you want to say something?
Just thank you for having me. First Service has been a member of DSCA. I'm new to the area. I've been with First Service, but down in the Fort Myers, Naples area. Some of you may know Jake House, still with the company, but up in Sarasota, up in St. Pete, Tampa, a little bit more specific. Yeah, happy to. Perfect. So again, just thank you for having me. Just was excited to come and observe this evening. Looking forward to the event on the 16th. As I get more involved, so thank you.
And then we have Reba Jackson.
My name is Reba Jackson. I'm from Cadence Bank Association Services, and I've been a member here for quite some time. It's a great group. Lots of good information. I always learn something every time I come. But our group at Cadence Bank specializes in nothing but association banking. So we have all the services and products that you need to function, treasury management products as well. But equally important is relationship. I just want to stress that we pride ourselves on service and relationship with you. We want to know your community. We want to know your goals. We want to know your plans, and we want to be your partner in all that. So if you need lending, if you need depository accounts, whatever it is you need, please come and see us. We'd be happy to help you. Thank you.
right, I think we'll go on to the gold members. We have Fred with Alderman Oaks. One of you.
Yeah, Fred Grady, Administrator for Golden Oaks, and pleasure of just completing 12 years there. I work for Rusty Blix, who purchased the property 50 years ago, built Alderman Oaks 25 years ago. And we have a unique downtown Laurel Park, Burns Court location, walk to Fish Market, all that kind of good stuff. Very unique blend of independent living and assisted living. Unique ownership. I work for a great guy who's been there for 50 years. That's it. Marketing Director Don's maybe on the agenda. Sure.
Awesome. And we have Erin with Youthful Aging Home Care.
Hi, Erin Mace. I am the Director of Corporate Relations for Youthful Aging. We're a boutique home health care company, and thank you for letting me come and sit in this place today.
All right, we have Paul with ServPro or Brandon. Or Brandon?
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll swing in there. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Brandon with ServPro of North Sarasota here, so we're right off the Fruitbowl. We're the local ServPro. A few things that are kind of changing up. We realize now that the storm's kind of passed, everyone is kind of starting to pay the bills and placing blame on certain people. And what we're finding is that there's kind of a little bit of headbutting between board members and the association community managers. It's who is really kind of responsible for making sure that all the plans are in place. And so we do kind of urge more of the board members because you guys are, you know, the ultimate, so to say. And you guys do have the authority to make sure that your guys' buildings are being protected. Community managers, they get approached by everybody, every day for every single thing under the sun. Board members a little bit different. You guys are shielded. You guys are protected and guarded by the community managers, but it's also a good idea to maybe reach out to ServPro. We can create a free plan, put it in place just in case something does happen. We will identify all your emergency exits. We'll put together a whole document. We also have the ability to now do 3D mapping of your buildings. So we basically would take a camera and we would walk through your buildings. We would give you that document. It's free. And basically you can just click the button and walk through your building and you can see how it looked at that specific time. So if you have any questions, Brandon with ServPro, Paul's over there as well. He's a little off camera, but. Can you do a fire plan?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
No, we cannot do a fire plan. We are not certified. But I do know a fireman and I know a couple people over there that I can probably get some contact.
I will be walking over.
Shortly. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Right, and then Don Fitz.
Oh, thanks.
Greetings, everyone. I'm with Cornerstone Life Care, which is a company that provides services and support for aging in place, as well as transitioning into retirement communities. Also involved with Fred in terms of Alderman Oaks, and have had a long-term relationship with the DSA in terms of a lot of the neat events we've done and programs, and would love to talk more with aging in place services, and especially in multi-family type of environments, such as here or in the DSCA membership.
Great, thank you.
It's gonna be Michelle.
Michelle with Canvas.
Oh, no, City National. Oh, City National. City National.
City National?
Please introduce themselves.
Yeah.
City National, going once?
Hey, it's
Okay.
Michelle.
You're muted, Michelle.
Michelle, you're muted.
She thought she was muted and she wasn't.
Yeah.
She's probably muted herself.
Michelle?
Well, she's talking, to the street on the other side of it.
Oh, there she is.
Okay, Michelle?
I'm not sure you guys can hear me or not. Yes. But I'm traveling from Jacksonville. But thanks for having me here. City National Bank. serving all your association needs from loans to reserve accounts, to CDs, to lockbox, anything you need. But definitely see you guys next month. Sorry I missed you all in person. I normally like to attend, so, but thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Is that everything? Lisa?
All right. Then moving ahead, if any of our member representatives have any comments, Peter, maybe?
Behind you.
Oh, hi. Oh, Vice Mayor.
I wanted to introduce my friend and neighbor, Lisa Schmidt. Hopefully she's gonna be the representative from the Regency House, for us. So she came to, you know, see what went on, and, I think she'll be a good fit for this group.
Wonderful. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
I'll talk with you right after the meeting ends. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Sherry Buxkeller. I'm from OCL. I was here 2 meetings ago in person. I was late. I hit traffic. The survey you were talking about at the very beginning, are we doing the survey? We talked 2 meetings ago about how the different condominiums, you know, what your policies are, how much your board spending authority is, and how you go about doing different things in your community. Is that what this survey was that I missed at the beginning?
That can be one of the questions in there. There was a whole series of questions.
Okay.
I know OCL participated and received the reports. I would hopeful that the property manager would have
I'll
that.
help you
I'm
do
not
that.
only glad to get you a copy of that.
Okay, but that was done a couple of years ago.
Right,
then
we're
you're
going to
doing it
update a new one, and we're going to, well, if you would like to volunteer to be on the
I'm
group
happy to
here,
help. I'm
we'll
happy to
get you,
help.
okay.
And the other thing is, if anyone would just email me, I'm on the list, the different lawyers that you use who are board certified as condo attorneys. If anybody wouldn't mind sharing that information, there aren't too many that seem to be board certified or condominiums.
Okay.
So I would appreciate that. And I would love the survey from 2 years ago.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Jim?
It shows marketing moves. Karen's?
I'm a rep from the Jewel condominium.
Oh, we're not board.
Say that again, please.
Go ahead.
I'm the rep from the Jewel condominium on Gulf Stream in Maine. And we and some of the other condo associations are particularly concerned about the Gulf Stream exit at the big roundabout. If you've ever driven it, tried to negotiate it, it's very dynamic. There's a lot going on, and having that exit is probably one too many decision points. I just want to alert you to that. We've lobbied the city commissioners and the engineers and FDOT about this for the last year and a half. And those of us who have a bird's eye view watch the number of crashes and the dangerous intersections for this very busy roundabout. So stay tuned for that. Also, we're very concerned about the ponds that are at the Hamel Park on Gulf Stream. They're mostly dead. We've had a number of issues with the fountain. It's not only underrated, it's breaking down just about every other day. There's fish, dead fish smell, the ponds are green, and it's a terrible eyesore, and probably a health hazard as well. So we've been in touch with FDOT, the city commissioners, the engineers, state and local people. So that concerns many of the condos on Gulf Street.
Okay. I'm going to wrap it up now in the interest of time because some of us have to get over to City Hall. We have the annual members meeting April 4th that we mentioned. Look forward to additional information on that coming soon. Our next board meeting is April 5th. I don't have a guest speaker for that confirmed at this time, but I'm working with Ken on that. And for just looking ahead, on May 3rd, Nick Patel has been very helpful. We have 3 representatives from FDOT, one person with some regional responsibility. I don't understand all of their titles. One is in charge of planning, and the goal then is to have them talk to us about what's next after Gulfstream and pedestrian safety, their landscaping along the right of way. But that's on May 3rd. With that said, I'm going to wrap things up and call us adjourned. Thanks everybody for coming, and thank you, Vice Mayor, for your scheduling time. Thank you. We're adjourned.
We'll have some refreshments at the bar.